Pythagorean Theorem. Now, Pythagorean Theorem deals exclusively with right triangles, only right triangles. The hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle here, and it's always the longest one in a right triangle. So here, the hypotenuse is only used for right triangles. So here, you got a 5. That's opposite there, so it's the biggest one. Same here, 25 here. So that's the hypotenuse. 3 and 4 are what are called the legs. Those are just the other two sides. Here it's 24 and 7. So that's just the way it works. Now, the Pythagorean theorem states that the sum of the squares, so that's one side A, and that's the other side B, and then we square each of them, and then we add them together after we've squared them, is equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse. So that's c squared. So here, 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. So 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. Here it's 7 and 24 are the legs, and 25 is the hypotenuse. So 7 squared plus 24 squared is equal to 25 squared. So 49 plus 576 is equal to 625. So it is possible to figure out the length of the side of a right triangle if you have the measure of the other two sides. So that's what we're talking about today. Now, if you look here, it is possible always to find out the length of any side if you have an actual right triangle. So, as an example here, let's do this. So, what I have here is I have a triangle here. I have the two legs, and I'm looking for the hypotenuse. And I'm going to try and figure it out to the nearest tenth of a unit. So this is going to be, doesn't matter what the sides are, or what the legs are, just as long as you identify the legs and the hypotenuse correctly. So this is 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to c squared. So if I do this up, that's 36 plus 64 is equal to c squared. Now, a lot of students will just go ahead and say, well, there's my answer, 100. Don't do that, because that's the answer for c squared. So you need to hit that button on your calculator. Most of the time it's going to look like this. Although you should be able to figure out what the square root of 100 is. It's just going to be 10. 10 is the square root of 100. Because 10 times 10 is equal to c. And remember, you got to add that meter part there too, because it's meters. So here, this one's a little bit tougher, because it's 1 is the leg and 1 is the other leg. So now we've got to figure out what the value is of this here. So 1 squared plus 1 squared is equal to c squared. So this is just going to be 1 plus 1 is equal to c squared. It's just going to be 2 is equal to c squared. So now is when we're going to use that button like there, because I don't know what the value is of this. I know an approximate value. It's going to give us an irrational number. So I plug in 2, and I take the square root of it by hitting that button, and I end up with the following number, 1.4142. Remember, this is just going to keep going on forever, and it never repeats because it's irrational. So if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, read that instruction up there. It's going to be, well, all I got to do is I got to look over here and see. Well, I got 1.4, so it's either going to be 1.4 or 1.5. So what do? I look over here and I see what the next number is. It's 1. So since that's not 5 or above, I keep it at 4 over here. So, and then that's going to be centimeters, remember. Now, these ones here, some students have a little bit of a tougher time because they just want to square this and then take the square root of the two added together. But remember, in this case here, we're not trying to find the hypotenuse. So it's a little bit different. We still use this equation up here. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Still use that. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. But it's a little bit different because we don't have one of the legs. So let's just say we don't have A. We have B, that's 20 millimeters. We have C, that's 25 millimeters. But we're still trying to figure out what A is. So just do it this way. A squared plus 20 squared is equal to 25 squared. And when I do this, this is going to be A squared plus 400 is equal to 625. And then I subtract 400 from both sides, just like we've done probably hundreds of times so far this year, this type of problem. What do I end up with? I end up with A squared is equal to 225. So now I've got A squared is equal to 225, so I use that button there. When I do that, I put in 225, and what do I end up with? I end up with A is equal to 15 meters. Now over here, same sort of problem. 41 is going to be my B, or is going to be my C squared, because that's my hypotenuse. 41 squared. And it doesn't matter. Here, this could be 40 squared, and then I could just solve for B squared, because it doesn't matter what letters you choose for the legs. Now I've got 1600 plus B squared is equal to 41 squared, which is going to be 1681. Now when I subtract 1600 from both sides, what I end up with is B squared is equal to 81. And that, in your mind, you should be able to just figure out that B squared. If you need to use that button there, that's fine. But B squared, take the square root of this side, take the square root of that side, and you just end up with B is equal to 9. And don't forget the unit, so that's inches. And we're done.